Hey you guys, it's MJ from Alta Love. How are you? I want to talk about liberation and freedom and accessing our true potential as spiritual beings outside of the matrix or outside of the 3D illusion of reality, which is, again, just, this is so the nugget really, is that as individuals, we have created an illusion that we could call like a matrix, the 3D reality. It is a co-creative illusion, which means that, yeah, there are various beings in this realm, in this galaxy, in the universe that are also responsible for creating what I call the system. And it's not good or bad or right or wrong. Again, from a perspective of unconditional love, there is total unconditional love and acceptance for all that is in duality. Okay, so the full spectrum of creation is held in love. And that's often what really trips us up when we're endeavoring light and love, and we want this perfection, this utopian. We want to chase this dream, this illusion outside of us. We want everything to look really beautiful and wonderful and happy. And the depth of love containing the totality is one with the depth and joy of who we are, and at the same time so far beyond our finite experience. So we're navigating the infusion of our finite experience in recognition with our infinity, in recognition with our eternal nature. And that when we yoke that eternal nature, we become more aligned with the infinite, which means we become more aligned with love. I guess how I came to this was going back onto Instagram to post stuff, feeling a momentum of positive energy and feeling inspired. And then actually reminding myself why partly I have to stay away from it in a loop. And also how easily we can kind of get distracted into our own unconscious, basically. And I highlighted, I'm really wanting to look at some deeper intuitions around the well-being industry, and again the subtle egoic patterns and contempt for between men and women, and between women more specifically. That's just because I'm a woman, right? And so much of my life has been entering into situations with other women, in love and light, in grace, in a safe space, and not feeling safe and or feeling attacked. All, of course, with beautiful, loving language, but in my beingness, feeling these undercurrents, right? Or, people making decisions and saying, oh, well, it's just business, and then hearing through the grapevine that they're talking dirt on you and they're saying things about you, or going into situations feeling awkward, and then, say we're in a situation because of a friend or a partner or something, and then we remove ourselves and go, oh, something's not right, I'm not sure how I feel, I don't feel comfortable. And then being like, you're foolish, you're da-da-da. And then, later on, you find out those people talk shit about you, or one of those people really denied you or didn't like you. And then you're like, oh, so there's a reason why I felt uncomfortable, right? So as I continue to endeavor my liberation and genuinely feel powerfully liberated, actually, to the point that, like, if I left tomorrow, if I died tomorrow, I'd be well chuffed. I'd be like, well done, Chica, you rose up, you did some good jobs in life. And I don't have anything to prove for that, really. I don't have anything extra special to give to you. I'm not like more or less powerful than anybody else. I've just, in my own simple life, not given up in my belief that I could be happy, that I could be genuinely. And so one of my biggest lifelong themes that I've had is like just fucking self-hatred and self-disgust. And so a couple years ago, a few series of events happened while I was doing this conscious work so profoundly and so deeply, and it kept blowing my mind how deep conscious transformation really is if you're really going to own the totality in liberation. Which for me, in my body control patterns, it was about like, I want to be able to eat whatever I want, live however I want, do whatever I want, and not feel this control, this fear, this like around my body. And there's still residue. I still continue to work through that cyclically, but I can honestly say, like, I totally love my body. I'm super happy with my body. I don't have control patterns around food. I'm totally liberated around food. And I'm showing up in how I always imagined myself showing up. Like when I had the awakenings back in the day, I just like, and again, this is part of our systematic indoctrination. I literally didn't even realize that you could be an inspirational speaker, that you could like just talk about stuff. I thought you had to be famous to do that. I thought you had to be Oprah or Julia Roberts, or you had to be someone special for people to want to care. And then that's kind of diverting me into pursuing an acting degree. I'm like, well, people clearly don't want to listen to what I have in my heart. You know, when I went to uni, people didn't want to hear about the new paradigm. People just laughed at me and ridiculed me. Most people, if I was ever drunk having deep chats with people, oftentimes people would laugh at me or actually attack me and tell me like, how dare you? You can't just say that. You can't just be that. You can't da 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 da. So I've had these sort of, and each learning, each cycle, and I talk about this a lot as well, it kept bringing it back to me. You know, it kept bringing it back to it is just me. So it doesn't matter what food I eat. It does, however, matter that it's in alignment with my truth, which is why I'm predominantly plant-based and vegan. My heart doesn't align with slaughtering innocent creatures for my fuel. If I was gonna die, maybe that would be different. If I was in the middle of the desert and there was only a carcass of da da da, maybe it would be different, but it's not that way. So, and this has been since I was 11 years old, right? This is really since as a child I made the connection that the beef on my plate was a cow that I love when I feel their presence, right? So how could I murder that? And plus, and again, I add this to some people when they question me about it, I had really bad digestion. I was a really sick kid, especially after the parents' divorce and getting busy and eating a lot of fast food and stuff like that. I was sick, you know, and as soon as I stopped eating meat and I cut out the dairy, I got better. And but my control patterns and my distortion around my body didn't necessarily. That I transformed my life and I've continued to commit to that, but it's only as an adult that I was able to really show up in the form that I choose and desire without fear of judgment. And a big part of me unraveling that pattern is realizing that when we change in ourselves, people can attack us, whether consciously or unconsciously. So getting to know our own energy and getting to know what energy exchanges feel like with your reality is a big part of this up-leveling, as it were. And I'm fully, oh my God, I just cannot really accurately like put into words the expansiveness and the depth and the profoundness of the recent insights regarding our common humanity and also the trajectory and the path that we're on, and why I know in my heart of hearts I'm being guided kind of away from you could almost say like the marketing of the yoga industry and the well-being industry, because part of me being guided kind of away from an industry is that industry technically serves in a disempowered way because it's feeding off of the doubt, the insecurity of a mass collective. So and I know this seems really weird and none of it's bad because it's all still leading us to ourselves, right? It's all, we can read however many books and do however many courses and and it all has a place, and yet there is no almighty power outside of you, ever, 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 ever. There is no book that knows the truth that is greater than your own knowing. There is no food that is going to affect you greater than your own knowing. There is no activity that's going to affect you greater than your own knowing. And that's how we get distracted. That's how we get tripped up. That's probably part of why I'm so reclusive, is to deliver the goods from the clarity of my own heart. I really have disengaged. And I just feed back off of my own reality to share with you guys the insights I get from a place of honesty and vulnerability. And I bring up this stuff against like the edges that I feel, and I own them. So I'm aware, like I check in, like am I putting up a barrier there? Am I judging that person? Am I in judgment of that woman or myself? Am I judging because she seems really happy and beautiful and thin and da 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 da, and I'm not that? Or is my intuition picking up on subtleties here? Is my intuition picking up? Because here's the thing, part of me like owning how I want to show up is the fact that as I've backtracked and look over my life, I've often taken on people's projections of me. So like, and that's an empathic thing we do sometimes, is that I might be feeling fantastic and go something and do something as a younger kid and pick up on people's energies of hatred toward me or judgment toward me. And then instead of like knowing I can be whoever I want to be, which is I'm finally coming into that now over the course of my life, instead I'd pick up and feel people's judgments against me and think there was something seriously wrong with me. I'm wrong for being thin. I'm wrong for being skinny. I'm wrong for being vegan. I'm wrong for being loud. I'm wrong for being sensitive. And that's like a big story of the rise of the empath, is that a lot of empaths have felt alienated and actually been really attacked and pushed down by people, family members, whatever, for being too much, for being too sensitive. Like in high school, whenever we'd have those war memorial days, and I'd be bawling my eyes out, like as we were forced to watch all the like war stuff, and having friends be like, "Why are you crying? Like, who cares? It's in the past. Like, duh, we don't live in war." And I'm like, oh, "Hey, Rochelle, fuck you." Yeah, and then just being you're told you're too sensitive. And let's be honest, like around puberty in high school, you're so sensitive. Like, so for me, it's like the divorce, massive like thing, and then puberty. Really, puberty in high school is just ridiculous and super insane. Like most of us legit get proper traumatized around. There's like the physical changes, the everyone's peer pressure. You're too much. You're supposed to get fucking fit into like what everyone else tells us we're supposed to be, and then we start hating on each other, right? We start judging each other because we so get blocked or locked down into self-judgment. Because a lot of us would have had that, like I was too sensitive, I and people, and I think that's been since that time, shutting down, disconnecting. It literally has been a healing journey ever since then. Like, how do we reclaim our connection? How do we reclaim our true essence? How do we reclaim the knowing that we know that we are? And I don't have specific answers for you other than the fact that I do know and believe that you do know. That you do know your way, that you can trust your way, that you can trust yourself, and that you can never fuck it up. You can't, because even all of the fuck ups are, or we give and never have reciprocity, and we passed burnout long ago. Yeah, exactly. We passed burnout. Is that you, Rochelle? It could be. Well, or we get to the burnout and then we just recycle it and have more to offer through that, right? Because there is that. We do just continue to give. It's just that I think through every transformation, our awareness helps us to give in more like integrated capacity rather than fragmented, like, hence the burnout. We get better at like lifting that out so we don't burn out. So liberation is the totality of you being the creative force, and actually not having, or having the fearlessness to work with the entirety, right? Are you hiding your burnout, my friend? Take a rest. Take a rest and enjoy yourself. Giving of the self is the receiving of it as well, right? And I just see us sort of, and I acknowledge it within me, that kind of division. Almost lost a friend. For hiding the burnout, for not having anything left. Um, so yeah, our liberation is always within us. We are the most advanced technology that we know of. Um, Almost lost a friend being honest. But then, Rochelle, I'd have to say, like, if people in our lives don't want to embrace our honesty, then they're not really friends. They're teachers. And our friends are teachers, and our like people meant. Everything is us. Everything is our own reflection. Even all of this distorted, like, corruption and conspiracy theory and all of that kind of stuff, it is just aspects of our creative potential. I'm just someone who's more sensitive and aware to, like, where those distortions are in myself, and then how to outwork them from within myself, which makes it more clear what energies I resonate with and which I don't. I know you don't. I know you don't harbor any bitterness, my friend. But yeah, and we do, and we, um, I just sometimes I think it's amazing all of the many ways that we are in service to one another, and yet we think it's something else. And that was actually a piece that led to, like, the desire to share this stuff, is like, the service. Sometimes in some spiritual community, there's like, just be of service, and I think we get a little bit trapped in what we think that is. Again, like, service looks a certain way that we're, and this is the juice, you guys. Like, I'm in service. I've been in service since my awakenings, because part of what happens when you have profound shifts in your own awareness is that you surrender your personal will. So since I had those awakenings and my whole world shattered open, what's been guiding me is this, like, just use my life force to to be as to be to shine for as many people as possible. It was that kind of thing. It was like, the world that I'm seeing is so messed up and painful that I couldn't possibly know how to fix it or change it. So why don't I just not try and trust that whatever is the higher guides, whatever is the higher force, moves through me. And part of how I ended up writing the book was that I had about a 6 or 7 year cycle where I was in denial of my intuition, and it was a cycle where I ended up cheating repeatedly on my partner at the time, who was a very good man, did not deserve that, and it was all fucked up in my head because it wasn't sober. I was never sober when it happened, and not, doesn't mean to be in fairness, but I was acting out in ways that, like, my younger self, or my, like, once I'd already disconnected, but, like, the part of me that's like, I'm a good girl, I'm a good nice girl, right? And then I'm acting out in ways that I'm like, oh my god, I'm a whore, I'm wrong, I'm sinning, what am I doing, why am I doing this, why is this happening to me? And then I'd cry and I'd confess and he'd forgive me, and it would, okay, let's be a good girlfriend again. And then lo and behold, usually there'd be a couple triggers, like, within a year. Usually it was about once a year, another thing would happen, and it was an abortion, because I didn't know who the father was, that basically ended that cycle and put me on my yoga path, because I needed the discipline of yoga and meditation to get back to myself. So I'm coming back to myself, and I'm back to myself, and really this evolution of my YouTube channel and of All to Love and the products and services that we provide at All to Love is really just the manifestation of my own inner work of transforming deep layers of shame and guilt and pain and denial. Denying my power, denying that I have a voice that I desire to use, and that I denied myself the privilege of using my voice because I thought that I was wrong. I thought my beliefs and my alignment and my inner voice was wrong because that was my experience. That's what people around me told me. I didn't want to end up like my mother. I didn't want my childhood vision of my mother. I didn't want to end up in hospital. I didn't want to end up in bed all day, struggling to fit in a world where you have to hide all of your shame, right? So a huge part of me sharing here and me being vulnerable and honest is just saying we have to stop hiding from ourselves and one another. and even risk losing friends, you know? Necessary for the blind cannot see your beacon. I know, but that's why I think we continue to share and shine and share and shine, and then more people shine, and then and they light up, and then more people see it, and it just, it's like the ripple effect. But I know, and it's probably for so many of us, there is a next wave coming, and then another up level, and the up level is actually, it's sort of like physics, but it feels to me just an undeniable part of the process, that we withdraw more in a way, and we but it's all paradoxical because it feels natural and it feels supported. And just as a final note, for I appreciate the sharing that you do. I watched the salt video. I've thought of that a couple times. And another one recently as well from you. But yeah, our liberation really is us just aligning with the truth of our knowing. How we get there, though, is a bit of a process, and it's probably a bit of a process for most of us. We're just breaking free. And yes, tips for really simple tips for discovering your own liberation, or being the path of liberation for your own joyful expansion. Hang out more in nature. Get quiet time in every day, as in no TV, no phones, no nothing, no electronics, just you sitting with you, maybe outside or maybe inside. Even do like crystals and vision boards and stuff like that. And nature, quiet time, and creative expression. Just a wee little bit. Took me my whole life. It's all the wholeness of life, isn't it? But then that's why I think we have these, each generation, we have pockets of that generation awakening now that will help their, because we can't, there's too many barriers and subtle resistances often when we're dealing either with an opposite sex, or somebody who's, as in, and most of us, this is just the reality, but like, I know that in certain environments, women of a certain age just will not listen to me. There's stuff going on, and they, no, don't talk to me, don't you dare tell me what I need to do, you know, like I can just feel that. And men, in fairness, like plenty of men of a certain age as well, just don't. I have encounters of that, you know, more deeply dense energy, and like you just sense it, that some energy you're not there to shift, you know, you can shine but you're not there to shift it at all. And whereas other people literally step into your field and ask to be like ask, help me shift, you know, help me clear this, because it's, the intuition knows that it's coming for them. So get outside, nature time, get some quiet time. And then also another really top tip or useful tip for liberation, you guys, is creative expression. I've been writing since before my awakenings, journaling, writing, create. There were times I picked up painting, just freestyle painting on canvas. Obviously now my whole working life is creative. I make videos, I write articles, I've written a book, I do yoga, I move, I dance. Like really my whole life is sort of just one creative expression to another, and downtime. So living in the flow is just like creative inspiration, and then like sleep and rest. And then some days there's purging, and there's like gotta release stuff, and then there's more creative expression. So you're just living in this creative flow all day, every day. Remember where I live. I'm in the sticks. Next door. I know. That's why I'll come to Washington. Is it Seattle? I feel you live near Seattle. Anyway, well, that's even better. I live by the coast, and some woodland and nature, and little town as well. It's quiet, right? Yes, Seattle. near Seattle. So exciting. Well, and I might be end of the year, early next year, heading to the West in to see some family. So it might be that might sync up. Oopsie daisy. Pardon me, you guys. I forget. By the way, like I burp and fart freely. Sometimes I forget that some people find that really rude. Okay, so yeah, creative flow, getting outside and getting still. Those I would say are probably some of the three most important things that we can do to like remember who we are, remember why we're here, remember what serves us, remember what feels good for us. Because if it feels good for us, that is our service. Not like being martyrs and trying really hard to look like we're being of service so it looks like we're being a good person. Fuck that. Your service is your alignment. And there I'm again acutely aware of my teachings in the book. It's like give of self, give of self, give of self, give of self. If I'm not giving of self and giving of ego, it struggles, right? Mwah! Yes, love you, Rochelle. Thank you so much, and thank you all of you for joining me this morning. I think that's it. I've been a little bit on fire today and using my lights, and I'm super excited. I've got a new camera coming, so like, yeah, you guys are gonna get some more goodness from this place. Yes, get in the zone of the creative flow, my friend. And that's it. Like, so create, be outside, be still. And really, 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 that is all you need. However, it can be a bit of a process. And in our quick fix culture, I dare say, like, what the potential for tripping people up is the fact that they think it should happen yesterday. And I'm somebody who can really relate. I'm pretty impatient. Like, patience has been a thing for me generally in life. I'm pretty like, come on, people, this is good stuff. And people are like, as in, you know, classic thing of being a bit of a pioneer and having the experience of being ridiculed most of my life. It's sometimes for people like us, it's amazing that we even get to this point. We survive because it's tough, you know, to be pushing, kind of going against the grain, right? That can be tough. So eventually when the grain starts moving with you, you're like, mwah! Love to you, Rochelle. When it starts moving with you, so this is it. There, that's the end of my post. That's what liberation is. You can go against the grain, find your authenticity, be your authentic self, and then suddenly those grains turn back towards you and they're like, oh, hey. And now finally it's like, as I truly, truly step into my integrity and myself, and I'm just like, no one ever gonna touch that. You know, like recent experiences as well, where I'm like, oh, could be totally bummed, could be totally rejected, but I'm just like, no, I'm not going to give that person my power. I'm not going to give him my power anymore. I'm not going to give them my power. And people make their choices, right? But I am genuinely feeling liberated. Banking notes, government notes, none of that shit triggers me no more. I know that I've done the work internally, externally to create the sovereign life that I desire. So I permission you guys to do the same. One thing that's popping into my mind, I did a soul contract revocation ceremony. Intertwining. So any energetic links that I had to the banking system, the government systems, education systems, and you know, industrial complex, like military industrial complex, everything is interlinked, that you can do and invoke a ceremony which cuts those links. Ceremony, ritual, it's all just relevant for how you're using and directing your energy. So if you want to know more about that, feel free to get in touch. There's a collective of people here in North Devon who perform these ceremonies. Nice. Oliver, 144. What is this? This number is popping up everywhere. I sent a shout out recently, and the shout out number was just 144. That was just the number. And I'm seeing multiples and all that kind of stuff everywhere. My battery's gonna die. Rochelle, send me a note. Let me know about the 144 and the 3D Earths. I'm curious because I think it's relevant. It's something to do with this next wave. I love you guys. Frequency 144,000 or 144. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. Message me later. Have a great day, you guys. Peace out.